What's going on YouTube? My Almost Acre here, and what you're looking at is my seed starting station last year, which also happened to be my kitchen table. And while I had a very successful garden in 2022, I was definitely told not to use the kitchen table again this year. So with the new year came new garden goals, and in this video I'm going to showcase my new seed starting station. I'm hoping just to give an example of what I did to motivate you to build your own and have a successful gardening year. And if you just love gardening content, please check out and subscribe to my channel where I cover gardening and a wide variety of things that happen to my almost acre. I cover both long form and shorts video to keep you and I both entertained and informed. Thanks again for checking it out today. First things first, if you're going to have a seed starting station, you need to dedicate a spot for it. And I would recommend not the kitchen table as it utterly annoyed my wife last year. I personally cleaned up a corner in the basement that became a dumping ground for baby equipment that was no longer being used. And I quickly realized I picked the perfect spot. Despite the plumbing you see, there was a natural nook in my foundation that I could set up a growing table. I had this in the furnace room, so I knew it would be warm and toasty. And I also had an electrical power outlet close by that I could plug grow lights into. So the next step after I tidied this corner up was to set up the table. And it just so happens I had this 2 foot by 4 foot collapsible table that also allowed me to store some things underneath. Again, I only have a 50 square foot small backyard garden, so even at just 2 foot by 4 foot, this is still much more room than I had on my kitchen table. Next on the list were to hang the grow lights. Now, I am far from an expert on grow lights, and these are actually only the second ones that I've ever bought. I bought two of them. They were just under $50 each, and they came recommended on Amazon. That's as much as I can give you. Not that you should just buy anything Amazon recommends, but I did have a gift card, and it made sense to me. Now, I plan to do a product review later in the spring, so stay tuned. But a few things that sold me on these were that I could hang them easily from the ceiling. They come with the hardware to do so. They have a pulley system that lets you raise and lower them with ease. And also the fact that I could daisy chain them if I ever wanted to buy more. And finally, just how compact they are. I can easily pack these up at the end of my growing cycle and store them away for next season if I choose to. To spend just an additional minute on the grow lights, here's the hardware that came with them to hang them from the ceiling. They're pretty sturdy. It's steel wire, and it comes with these hooks to tie right into eyelets that are built into the top of the grow light. And here's the first light I hung. Again, from the four corners of the light, you have the steel cable going to a carabiner that's eventually tied up into a rope with a pulley. Um, I was perfectly positioned underneath a water pipe that had a good bracket that I could kind of tap into to hang these. Now, I will say I did not hang this directly on the water line. Do not do that. However, I felt the bracket itself was a good spot to hang the light from. And as you just saw, you can easily tug a rope to raise the light and push a release button on the pulley to lower it to get any level you want for your plants. And finally, here's a view of both lights hung. I should note this took me less than an hour to complete once I figured out how I wanted to go about it. I would say the biggest thing is just understanding where your power is coming from and making sure you align the lights to accommodate that. Other than cleaning up the wires, though, it was a nice little project. So now that I had the corner picked and clean, the table set up, and my lights hung, it was time to focus on more of the finer details. One garden hack for your seed starting station that I would recommend is taking a leaf bag and cutting it so that it fits the tabletop of where you're going to put your seeds. And if you cut your bag just right and you essentially save the bottom, you turn it into like a natural basket where you can put your pots, your plants, and when it's time to harden them off, you can just take the whole thing right outside. It seems simple, but if you've never done this before, you're going to be spilling dirt. You'll likely be spilling water or something else. And by having this paper down, it just helps keep the area tidy and clean. And on top of the grow lights, I did make a couple additional upgrades to my seed starting kit. And here you see that bottom of the bag, the basket, I'll call it, in which case I have some yogurt containers that I saved throughout the winter. It just makes for a perfect setup to bring things outside in a few weeks. And now with my seed starting station set up, I can get to the action of filling my containers with dirt and starting some seeds. I do plan to make some additional videos on the seed starting station and how it turns out, and overall what I'm growing in my garden this year. And I would love for you to follow along, so please subscribe. And before we do the final walkthrough, I was sure to add an automatic timer. I actually purchased one that can be used outdoors. I just feel it was a need to make sure the lights turn on and off against the schedule. And from there, with the timer set, I am all done with my seed starting station. Now I just need to plant the seeds. I already have some broccoli sprouts and Brussels sprouts going. And as it's mid March, while I'm filming this, I plan to get some tomatoes going pretty quick. And I also am doing a herb garden this year, which I plan to cover in additional videos. All in all, though, this is a nice little afternoon, couple hour type of project that with $100 or so, I was able to set up a nice spot to make sure I have a great garden this year. And with that, thanks a ton for checking in today. And I would absolutely love it if you click these next videos linked above and overall subscribe to my channel. I'll be covering a lot of things that happen on my almost acre. Thanks again.